COVID-19 cases continue to climb.
When I think about not being able to come here and not release the anxiety of this time and release the stress in my life, I am panicked.
We head to York Region to speak with residents about the upcoming changes and
landlords aren't actually living up to their end of the agreement. The tenants are paying rent, but they're not getting a well-maintained, safe building that they deserve.
A rally demanding safer housing heats up as residents call for change. And it's been 2 years since cannabis became legal in Canada. We look at why the industry is seeing a boom in this province. Good evening, I'm Marivel Tarouk. The province is reporting 805 new cases of COVID-19 today. Toronto accounts for nearly half of today's tally at 374, but the Ministry of Health says that's due to an upload error. They say some data from Toronto Public Health should have been included in yesterday's count. Peel Region saw 107 cases today, with 93 in York Region and 70 in Ottawa. The province processed more than 44,000 tests, with the backlog sitting at more than 33,000. 10 deaths were reported. The total number of deaths now sits at more than 3,000 people. The bump in cases comes as another region prepares to enter a modified version of Phase 2. York residents will face new restrictions on Monday. Some experts there say infections among older people are rising and more people are likely to suffer serious effects. Lorenda Redekop has more on the changes.
As of Monday, this gym will have to close under the latest COVID-19 restrictions. These women say it's about much more than building muscle.
When I think about not being able to come here and not release the anxiety of this time and release the stress in my life, I am panicked.
As the weather gets colder, this is one of the few things for us to do to keep active and keep our mental health in check.
The owner feels at least some training could continue safely, like one-on-one sessions.
As a business owner that doesn't have a whole bunch of employees, I don't qualify for literally any of the financial aid that's been offered. Paying rent is a challenge.
Also starting Monday, there will be no more indoor service at bars or restaurants. Plus, movie theaters, casinos, and bingo halls will shut down. This region joins Toronto, Peel, and Ottawa for 28 days. Today, York Region recorded 93 new cases, lower than Toronto's 374, but the population is also smaller. In the area, outbreaks in workplaces and long-term care homes are up.
Across Ontario, 78 long-term care homes are in an outbreak. That's 6 more than yesterday. And here at this home, they have almost 40 cases among staff and residents, and 11 residents have died.
As of Friday, in the 3 hardest hit regions, long-term care residents can only go out for medical or compassionate reasons. Also in effect in York Region on Monday.
We have to find the right balance between infection prevention and control and quality of life for these residents. And we cannot restrict frail older adults to their rooms for months on end with no end in sight, because I've seen many of them who have had really irreversible declines.
He says at least during this second wave, essential visitors are being allowed. Back at the gym, they have a plan to keep working on their mental and physical health. Outdoor workouts, as long as the weather allows it.
Hopefully this 28 days doesn't turn into 28 weeks or any longer.
Lorenda Redekop, CBC News, Toronto.
About 1,500 people gathered at Yonge and Dundas Square today for an anti-lockdown rally. Protesters without masks took over the square and marched up Yonge Street. They are protesting provincial restrictions to curb the spread of COVID-19. Health and government officials have slammed the demonstrators who have been holding rallies in large groups without masks for the past few months, saying safety restrictions and face coverings do in fact reduce the spread of COVID-19. And they urge everyone to continue vigilance as cases surge in the province. A funeral was held this morning to honor Shane Shannon Stanford, a health and fitness instructor who was gunned down in his vehicle last week. Stanford was killed last Wednesday near Bathurst and Lawrence. He was heading home from work at the Central YMCA when someone in another car opened fire. The 33-year-old died on scene. Friends and family describe him as a beautiful soul and are calling for action on gun violence in the city. It has been exactly 2 years since cannabis was legalized in Canada, and according to shop owners and experts, the industry is booming. While many sectors have been struggling due to the pandemic, the number of cannabis stores in the province has quadrupled since the spring. Kelda Yoon reports.
So many stores have been opening up left, right, and center.
Joshua Martin is the assistant manager of 420 Love in Hamilton, which will soon be opening up a second dispensary right here in Etobicoke.
I totally see opportunity.
Even during a pandemic. In March, there were just over 50 legal pot shops in the province. Fast forward to today, 200 businesses are authorized to have a storefront. That growth is expected to continue. In April, the Ontario government began authorizing 20 storefronts a month. By September, it said the Alcohol and Gaming Commission would start doubling that number.
It's something that I feel makes sense with the demand of the public. It's helping other stores out to alleviate the wave of customers coming in and shopping. And it's also gonna make the industry itself a little bit more of a competition, which is gonna be fun.
Some experts say the pandemic may actually be helping business by swaying consumers from the black market to legal shops.
I think what's happened is during the pandemic, people are obviously concerned about meeting people one-to-one. And for the black market to thrive, obviously that involves meeting your dealer. So when you go to a retail establishment that has very clear policies about mask wearing, social distancing, and cleaning, for a lot of people, this is enough to sort of put them at ease.
In August was the first time that the amount of legal cannabis sold in the country exceeded the amount of black market cannabis sold in the country.
The Ontario government says its recent policy changes are aimed at fighting against the illegal market, which accounted for 81% of sales in the last fiscal year. Back in Etobicoke, the shop is expected to open within the next few months.
I feel like it's something that the public has wanted for a while, and it's just something that they're learning to navigate through a pandemic. I don't see it slowing down whatsoever.
Martin says the plan is to keep expanding to meet the demand, first in Ontario, then countrywide. Kelda Yoon, CBC News, Toronto.
Greenpeace volunteers gathered at Trinity Bellwoods Park today, calling on the federal government to follow through on environmental and social justice promises made in the throne speech.
We also want to see a mindset change of how we do things and not going back to normal, but rather focusing on a circular, low-carbon economy.
The volunteers dropped a banner at the park's entrance. It was part of a nationwide demonstration with dozens of volunteers dropping banners in 6 major cities. They call for a wealth tax, divestments from fossil fuels, and the creation of green jobs. Residents of an East York apartment building say they've had enough. They describe their living conditions as uninhabitable. As Dahlia Ashry shows us, their frustrations turned into a protest against the building's management.
People literally have rats in here, mice, cockroaches, bed bugs, plumbing that doesn't work, electricity that doesn't work or is dangerous. The elevators are down a whole lot of the time. If you just walk in the front door, it's so filthy you can't stand it.
And that's why on Saturday, Bonnie Barter, along with other East York residents, protested in front of their building, demanding change. But the day took a turn as the tenants were met with resistance from their landlord and superintendent. Barter has been living in this building for over 5 years. She says they've taken their complaints to the landlord and superintendent before.
Well, he doesn't do anything either, but before she came, you could at least get in a good knockdown, drag out, and a couple of letters in, and you might get something fixed. Since she's been here, it's been even worse, because this is the way they talk to everybody all the time. This is our experience. We can't ask them to fix anything. It's a yelling and screaming match.
And that's why city and provincial officials are now involved. Councillor Paula Fletcher says the city has a rent-safe program and inspectors need to go look at the conditions.
You have to have a certain standard as a landlord, and if they're missing that, they've got to bring it up to standard for these good people that live there.
And where we can intervene by talking to the owners, as the councillor and I have done, where the owners are doing things that are illegal, we're very happy to do that as a way of supporting those tenants.
Tenants I spoke to tell me they've contacted the city since December and haven't heard back, and Councillor Fletcher says she'll be reaching out to the city on Monday. Dahlia Ashry, CBC News, Toronto.
A not-for-profit organization has taken over a school in Prince Edward County. They plan to turn it into housing for seniors in an area where housing is currently at a premium.
We're fully supportive of something that would enable members of our seniors community who really require, additional, services beyond what they might expect if they were living independently.
The Love Strong charity bought Pinecrest Memorial School for $375,000 with plans to convert it into a seniors residence and community hub. It will have 50 units, 25 of which will be affordable housing. The group hopes to open the building to residents in 2022. Well, just a beautiful fall day out there. Let's check in with Christina for a look at how the rest of the weekend is looking. If you ordered this up, thank you.
Hey, Maribel. Well, listen, you're going to need that umbrella. Here's your warning. So let's get into those details. So Toronto, it's going to be dry overnight. You're seeing that rain come into Hamilton as well as Kitchener, Barrie, and Oshawa, a prelude of things to come. Toronto, Sunday afternoon, 13 degrees. You're going to need that umbrella, as I mentioned. Plenty of cloud cover on the way as well. Taking a closer look here into our satellite and radar, you're already seeing this rainfall. Now that snow is staying well north, so in northern Ontario, but here comes that rainfall. You're seeing it push in through Sault Ste. Marie, and then into Sunday we go, where we're going to be dealing with that in southern Ontario. Here comes in this cold front Saturday overnight, but we're really going to start to see this rainfall for our Sunday afternoon. Toronto, we're going to see just about 2 to 5 millimeters afternoon, pushing into your evening. So here is your widespread rainfall for your Sunday, a few degrees milder. That's something to look forward to. So I'd say you're going to need a scarf and an umbrella. So here's your Sunday overnight. Come Monday, dry skies, but I'll have more details for you coming up in the long range forecast.
Okay, we'll see you in a few minutes. Thanks, Christina.
Thank you.
As pandemic restrictions tighten in areas around the GTA, cities across the country are grappling with new safety measures. We'll take a look at some of the hot spots in the West. Stay with us. Across the country, new COVID-19 infections continue to trend upwards. Today, Quebec set a new daily record for confirmed cases at just under 1,300. And Manitoba is about to roll out its tightest pandemic restrictions since the initial lockdown earlier this year. The new rules will shut down bars, casinos, and bingo halls. Austin Grabish has more.
This foot traffic is about to be cut in half. Starting Monday, retailers in Winnipeg and surrounding communities will have their occupancy limited to 50%. Gatherings will be capped at just 5 people.
I personally agree with it. I think they should tighten it up even more.
On Monday, the lights will go dark at casinos and bars will be forced to close.
It's a good thing. Things got crazy. It went too high.
The beefed-up measures will last for at least 2 weeks and come as Manitoba battles the worst surge of cases it has seen since the pandemic began. Many of Winnipeg's recent cases have been people in their 20s. Public health says bar hopping has been a problem and people are still going out sick.
I hate to say it, but I wish they'd grow up, show some maturity here.
I'm worried that if my husband got it, it could be serious.
Already feeling the financial hit from a government-forced shutdown this spring, the new rules could spell trouble for business owners.
Another set of restrictions could really be a death blow, I think, for a lot of small businesses across the province, not just even in the Winnipeg metro region.
But this resident physician isn't convinced the crackdown will work.
There's always that potential of individuals not following social distancing. Things happen in homes.
Manitoba reported 85 new cases today, with the bulk of them, 68, right here in the province's capital. The government warns if community transmission in Winnipeg doesn't slow down, the new measures may be in place longer than just 2 weeks. Austin Grabish, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Nova Scotia RCMP are investigating after a fire destroyed a lobster pound used by Mi'kmaq fishermen. A man is in hospital with life-threatening injuries. Police say he's a person of interest and that the fire is suspicious. It's the latest in a series of escalating tensions between Indigenous and non-Indigenous fishers. Taryn Grant has the latest.
By the time fire crews had put out the blaze this morning, the lobster packing facility had turned into a pile of rubble. Pierrette D'Entremont lives across the street from the facility and says she woke up to the sounds of the fire.
Crackling noises, kind of like Rice Krispies, and as soon as I heard it, I knew what it was. I looked out the window to see if I could see it, and it was kind of like a glow, and I woke my husband up. They're burning it down.
D'Entremont says she was not surprised by this fire. Just a few days before, there was a mob that surrounded the lobster pound, trapping 2 Mi'kmaq fishermen inside for several hours. They left safely, but the pound was ransacked and hundreds of lobster were destroyed. The day after that, with tensions in the community high, the chief of Sebeganagity First Nation, Michael Sack, got into a physical altercation with a commercial fisherman. That man is now facing an assault charge. Leaders on both sides of this dispute and politicians have been calling for de-escalation, and up until today, the message was for people to settle down before anyone gets hurt. Now, someone has been seriously hurt. RCMP have not released the man's identity, but they say he's a person of interest in the fire. Chief Sack says it does not matter to him whether that person was involved in setting the fire or not.
Kind of my stomach turned. It's the last thing we want is for anyone to be hurt. We pray for strength and courage and for everyone to be safe. Like, everyone has a family to go home to. We're not here to fight. Nobody needs to be hurt or to pass away over what's happening here in the fishing industry.
Sack has been calling for more RCMP presence and for more criminal charges to be laid. He even said today that it may be time for the military to step in. Federal Public Safety Minister Bill Blair released a statement this afternoon saying that he had approved a request from the government of Nova Scotia calling for an enhanced RCMP presence in the area. A spokesperson for Nova Scotia RCMP says officers are now being brought in from Prince Edward Island. Taryn Grant, CBC News, Digby.
The Women's March organization held events across the U.S. today. Speakers protested against Donald Trump's decision to fill a vacancy on the U.S. Supreme Court so close to the election. As Stephen D'Souza reports, there were also impassioned calls for women to go out and vote against Trump in large numbers.
Donald Trump has got to go.
With the pandemic limiting turnout, the Women's March was smaller than in years past, but those in attendance were no less passionate.
They are afraid, y'all. They are on the ropes and they know it, and we're about to give the KO punch.
The event was a protest against the Supreme Court nomination of Amy Coney Barrett, who many here fear will curtail women's rights. But with Democrats lacking the votes to stop her confirmation, speakers today focused on the presidential vote in just over 2 weeks.
We have the power to end this presidency, and we will do that because his presidency began with women marching, and now it's going to end with women voting.
The president is keenly aware of the role women could play in this election, especially disaffected Republicans in the suburbs.
I ask you to do me a favor. Suburban women, will you please like me? Remember? Please. I saved your damn neighborhood, okay?
All of this comes as Americans turn out in record numbers for early voting. More than 22 million votes have already been cast. In Texas and Vermont, the number of people voting is equal to almost 40% of all the votes cast there in the last election.
We're running about 10 times ahead of where we were in 2016. It's unprecedented. I don't think that election officials completely were prepared for it.
That's meant long lines in some states, but the long wait to cast a vote has done little to discourage some voters' enthusiasm.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. It's great. I can't wait. Being in the line like this with all these people who are so excited to vote is wonderful.
And while Joe Biden maintains a strong lead in many battleground polls, his campaign warned supporters today not to take anything for granted. The race is closer than the polls show, they say, and in some key states, they warn Trump and Biden are neck and neck with the election just over 2 weeks away. Stephen D'Souza, CBC News, New York.
We've been treated to some beautiful weather so far this fall. After the break, what can we expect for the rest of the weekend? And for the start of your week, we'll tell you. Stay with us. A reminder to drivers, the Allen will be closed for maintenance starting tonight at 11 p.m. The closure will run through to Monday at 5 a.m. It will extend the entire length of the roadway from Shepherd Avenue West to Eglinton Avenue West. There's also reduced lanes on the Gardner and at Lakeshore and Lower Sherbourne this weekend as crews there replace sections of the expressway. Christina's here for the long-range forecast. Okay, I know we're supposed to switch out the sunglasses for umbrellas then.
Umbrellas and maybe a scarf, Maribel.
Okay, just gets better.
Okay, so your Saturday overnight at 10 degrees, going to feel like 7, so keep that quilt handy. Here is your Sunday morning, starting off your Sunday at 11 degrees, plenty of rainfall. It is going to feel like 8. Dry skies for your Monday. So here we go, Toronto at 11 degrees, Mississauga at 11. Oakville and Burlington is going to see some rainfall. Let's take a look at what's happening. So like I mentioned, the cold front coming in, giving us that rainfall for our Sunday. Dry skies as that high pressure rolls in for Monday. But then behind that, for the week to come, we're looking at a parade of activity, systems rolling in, and that means some additional rainfall. So do not put those umbrellas away for the week. Something interesting though, we could have a warm surge coming for us Wednesday as well as Friday. That depends if that warmth is going to be staying south of the border. If it heads into Canada, we're going to be dealing with 16 degrees for both Wednesday and Friday. Let's get into those 7 days. So Sunday at 13 degrees, there is your rainfall. Monday, clear skies. This is the day to go out there and enjoy some beautiful sunshine. Tuesday, as you can tell, all the way into Friday, rain on the way. Barrie, Ontario, there is your rainfall for your Sunday. Clear skies for Monday, but then Tuesday into your Friday, rain. But once again, we could be dealing with that surge of warmth midweek, so we have something to look forward to. Kitchener, Ontario, here is your rainy Sunday. Clear skies for your Monday at 10 degrees. Tuesday right into Friday, here is that rainfall. But once again, midweek for Kitchener as well, we could be dealing with that warmth surge. Oshawa, Ontario, 13 degrees for your Sunday. Clear skies for your Monday. Keep that umbrella handy though for the remainder of the week. But once again, we could be feeling that warm surge in Ottawa and Oshawa as well, Wednesday as well as Friday.
Okay, umbrellas at the ready. Thanks a lot, Christina.
Thank you.
And that's our show for you tonight. Thank you for watching. Have a great night, everyone.